Oh, right, gotcha, Sunstrider here. Welcome back to what'll be another XCOM 2 War of the Chosen pre-campaign setup going by the title of the Unholy Alliance. Kinda stole that name from Hearts of Iron 4 from the United States focus tree, but that's not the point. The point is that this is going to be kind of a more roleplay focused campaign than any other ones. I don't know if it's ever been done or attempted before by another YouTuber a long time ago, but I had this this campaign idea before War of the Chosen came out. But it never happened because War of the Chosen did come out, in fact, and I was so hyped for that and I totally forgot about it until now. And as you can see, I have a fucking collection instead of just a Google Doc because I never actually owned the campaign. I never actually owned XCOM 2 until recently, a few months ago, where I bought it on a sale. The only reason why I was playing it was because of seeing Family Share. But I decided to buy it for myself so I wouldn't have to worry about, mods or, sharing a single game between somebody who doesn't use mods and somebody who does use mods and all our different save files and all that stuff. So now it's all separate. Not that the person I'm sharing it with, my dad, by the way, but not that he plays it anymore anyway. But yeah. So now it's all in one convenient giant thing with with all, the rules and the general description here. And all the mods here, if anybody wants to recreate this campaign for themselves, they can easily just click the sub all button, and there you go. There are a few mods that I haven't added to it yet that we'll also be going over. But for now, the general idea of the Unholy Alliance, that if you could tell from the thumbnail, I'm going to bring back Exalt. Exalt, as you know, is the anti-XCOM terrorist organization that tried to stop us in the original invasion, but we completely fucking destroyed them. The only thing that we really was able to get done, because shortly after that, according to lore, we got completely ripped apart by the aliens, but we were able to take down Exalt with us. Right? And essentially, the lore of this campaign is going to be Exalt. After Exalt got destroyed, the Exalt general named Riptide, Jackson Riptide Mills, took over Exalt shortly after the XQ was destroyed and quickly went to work on trying to rebuild it. Because the idea is a lot of Exalt cells, the things that we used to hunt in Enemy Within, are still intact because XCOM only destroyed the HQ and all that stuff. They did take out a lot of cells, but Exalt had a lot more cells active. So he used a lot of the resources from those cells and piled the resources and the manpower from those cells to create a new base of operations hidden somewhere in the mountains. That's just, random lore plot. And slowly but surely they were able to build themselves up. But because their HQ was lost, they lost a lot of their files, their data, and all that stuff in the fire that ensued. So, General Riptide, upon hearing of XCOM's return, despite the fact that a lot of veteran Exalt soldiers that survived the HQ assault, either by getting lucky or by being outside of the HQ in one of the remaining cells when it happened, were completely, against XCOM still and still held a grudge, Riptide thought to use XCOM and their alliance to the other resistance faction to better themselves. Since Xcom has been so willing to team up with even Advent defectors who they used to kill by the dozen, well, who they do kill by the dozen, but they still ally themselves with defectors so easily, they thought, hey, they could probably ally with us pretty quickly too, right? So Exalt came into contact with Xcom, and after a lot of back and forth, and despite a lot of both Xcom and Exalt veterans alike not exactly feeling 100% about it, they reluctantly agreed that an alliance will do them good, and they need all the manpower they can get. So despite Exalt having a base in the mountains, it's a very minimal base. It's somewhere to pile all of the resources gathered by the recovered Exalt sets. So, that being said, there are going to be a few roleplay elements that we're gonna just have to roll with it because of limitations of the game. So the rules here is that if my soldier, the commander, is in the squad, both Exalt and Xcom will play nice. And the idea is that I like to have my own character to go out on missions. I just like the idea better than just sitting in the sidelines in the Avengers all the time. Right, and if he's on the mission, then both sides will play nice and act like a normal mission because they don't want the commander hounding them, right? But if my soldier is not on the mission, like I'm recovering, or I'm just not chosen, or I don't show up at the start of the campaign, then, well, no one's the wiser, right? Because the way I like to see XCOM 2 from a roleplay point of view is that the soldiers on the mission deal with the mission themselves. I assign the mission, and I read the debrief, the briefing, and the debrief of the mission, and assign any new ranks. But if my soldier's not on the mission, then I don't know the exact details of what happens. It's only up to the discretion of the debriefing and who does the debriefing, right? It's kind of like how in XCOM or in Long War 2, where you can assign officers. It kind of feels like that, where the officers deal with the general tactics on mission, even though I'm the one playing the game. It's just a roleplay thing, right? I'm kind of into that kind of thing. That's how I see it. That's how we're going to play it, right? So that's how it's going to be. And then if my soldier is not in the squad, then both Exalt and XCOM will essentially be two separate factions who tolerate themselves for a common enemy. Kind of like how the faction system works in Phoenix Point, right? Where the three factions don't start off wanting to kill each other, right? Because they have the Pandoran, right? But if left unchecked, they will eventually kill each other, right? That's kind of how it works when the commander is not in the squad, right? So they will refuse to heal, revive, they will let each other, get captured by the Chosen, whatever. They will also not be bonded together, regardless of what their in-game compatibility says. And if, say, an XCOM soldier is mind-controlled by an enemy sectoid, an Exalt soldier will try to kill the XCOM soldier first instead of trying to kill the sectoid if it's conveniently flinked. Alright? If it is XCOM soldier gets mind control and Exalt soldiers right behind them, and I am not on the mission, if all those fit, then the Exalt soldier will take a shot at the XCOM soldier before trying to take a shot at the sectoid. Two separate factions barely tolerating each other, but they will try to, take sneaky, pity flank shots at each other if they can, and they won't kind of support each other in any way, shape, or form. Kind of like how, as the Phoenix Point factions, get more advanced in their stuff and start gaining more political views, they kind of separate between each other more and more until they eventually declare war on each other. So, enemies-wise, you know, Purifier revamp. Got some Cerberus guys, which I don't even know where they're from. I'm gonna try to use extended information again. If it crashes on me a lot, then I guess I'll get rid of it again. We're gonna use Rising Tides, which is actually a new faction mod, which requires, of course, a bunch of other mods to make it work. But they're essentially like an OP secret society thing, where they ally themselves to Xcom, and in exchange for favors, and in exchange for assisting Rising Tides to take on a secret project, they'll reward us monthly favors, which we can use for 3 Rising Tides operatives to take on a mission for us. And so it's actually really cool. And of course, I'll get into the details later. And we're going to be using Chimera's classes for the class pack. It overrides the 4 original classes and replaces them with a bunch of different other classes with their own unique stuff and all that stuff. They require primary, secondaries. Real Reaction Revisit is coming back. For weapons, we are going to be using PlanSite 2 new conglomerate weaponry just because I saw it and I thought it was cool to use. I wish the other 2 faction weapons would have been made from PlanSite, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers. Also, new conglomerate armor was made on top of that. Purge Priests, I didn't really see a lot of them because they don't show up till very later, but they're pretty mean. They utilize a lot of fire-based attacks, so pack med kits. And the Hive, which is Christopher Odd was actually beta testing this before it came out, and now that it's out, I can use it. And oh shit, we're using a little bit different stuff here for the Nexus mod, for Coyote's Nexus mods. We are not going to be using the mission pack, even though it says downloaded. We're not actually using it. Instead, we're going to be using the Behemoth tank, which adds both friendly and enemy tanks. Tanks are cool, obviously. There's no way to increase their damage output, but I mean, it's a tank. It's fine. I haven't fought any enemy tanks because they're like super late game enemies, but if we do, we'll probably squad wipe. We're still using the shivs, and of course we're still using Wibbles. I wanted to play Playable Chosen, but I'm going to save Playable Chosen to if I ever go back to the Advent Civil War run. But yeah, that's it for Nexus mods, and that's it for basically everything else. You know, a few new voice packs, force level display for quality of life, spooky, scary skeletons for whatever reason. And yeah, that's essentially it. The game, in terms of when I start it, it won't be tomorrow because I like to give my pre-campaign setups at least a day to, you know, let people figure it out. But let's just say the next time I stream, I will probably, not tomorrow, right? After tomorrow, the first stream I do after tomorrow, we'll start it. Tomorrow I might do some more random Risk of Rain stuff or whatever, but we're not going to be starting the campaign tomorrow. I don't know about Monday or Tuesday because I work those 2 days, but whatever. That's just about it. Character pool's going to be a little bit different. If viewers who already have character pool soldiers want to create a temporary Exalt soldier to kind of role play it out as well, if you guys are interested in that, you can do it as well. New viewers, you're always welcome to submit somebody. Exalt soldiers created in this campaign won't necessarily be permanent. If a viewer, if somebody who already has a character in the character pool creates a Exalt soldier for this campaign, then it won't be saved. But if any new viewers just want an Exalt character just to have an Exalt character, then sure. I mean, they'll have to follow the same rules as the campaign here, But in future campaigns, if you want to keep your Exalt soldier instead of swapping it over to Xcom, then fucking why not? And yeah, that's how the character pool is going to work. And on that happy note, I am going to call it here to get some much needed sleeps. This is just the video I was using for the background music. And on that happy note, I'm calling it here. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you guys are excited. This is a very unconventional XCOM 2 campaign, but I have high hopes. Hopefully no crashes. Hopefully everything runs kind of smooth. And yeah, I'll see you when it starts. Bye-bye.